Hey guys, what's going on? Just wanted to do a quick video doing my personal power rankings for the 4 teams left in the NFL postseason. I'm going to give them 2 grades here. One's going to be their grade for the overall season, their team this year. I'm going to give that a 75% weight. And then give their performance in the playoffs a 25% grade. And then I'm going to use the combination here to come up with my 4 power rankings of these teams. So starting off with the Chiefs, not a bad season. They finished 11-6. I think they lost a lot of games they shouldn't have. You have the Raiders. You have the most dropped passes in the league. I don't think the Chiefs are as sharp as they've been in previous years. A lot of this is due to losing a few crucial receivers. Really, Rice and Kelsey are pretty much their go-tos. I think with a better receiver, they're a lot better. Pretty good defense overall for this year. Patrick Mahomes, really good experienced quarterback. Not a bad running game. I just think because they haven't lived up to what they've been recently, what their true potential is. A really good coach with Andy Reid, but I think just due to some lackluster performances in a few areas, I'm giving them a B-, but in the playoffs, I'd give them an A-. Really dominant against the Dolphins, pulled out a win away against the Bills, but I don't think they looked too sharp there. I think that's what brings it down a little bit. Field goal could have easily tied it up. The Bills were lacking on defense. The Chiefs had a tough time stopping the Bills offensively. Still an overall good ranking. This would give them an average of a B, in my opinion. So they're at the number 4 slot. Next, I would have the Lions. A really good overall season record, 12-5. Really good offensive team here. Again, Goff, a really good experienced quarterback. Not too old, though, either, like Mahomes. Really good offensive depth here. You have Gibbs, you have Montgomery. St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league. Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the league. Just really not a good defense. I think that's what really hurts the Lions. And even though they're at the 12-5 record, they obviously got the number 3 seed because the amount of competitive teams they played in their schedule this year wasn't really that high. So I'm giving them a B+ for their overall team, how they performed this season. But I think in the playoffs, they've looked pretty consistent. I give them also an A- in the playoffs just because they had a little bit of trouble getting past the Rams. Same thing with the Buccaneers. In the end, it was a little bit more of a dominant win, but I still think there were some chances where the Buccaneers could have easily tied it up and not a whole lot of defense really backing them up. I'd give them an average of a B+. Really small margin here between the Chiefs and the Lions for me. I think if they played each other, it'd be a close game. I think the Lions would probably outscore them and just by a little bit, but you could make the argument the Chiefs had a more well-rounded team with their defense. That's just how I'm doing it for this right now. And then at number 2, I'd have the 49ers. Really good team on paper, both offensively and defensively. I think Brock Purdy is only getting better as time goes on. Still not a whole lot of experience, but I think he's playing well through all of that. You got the best running back in the league with McCaffrey. You have the best combination of receivers, I think, with Samuel and Ayuk. One of the best tight ends with George Kittle. And probably the best defense on paper. I just think maybe because the offense doesn't hold as much possession as they should be, or just because there's been a few fluke moments. I think the 49ers defense hasn't completely played up to par. I'd like to see them have a little bit more sacks. Obviously lost against the next team, but overall season 12-5 against a pretty good competitive group of teams that they played. I'm giving them an A-. I think they lost some games they shouldn't have this year, but in the playoffs, pretty slow start. Barely got past the Packers. I think this is likely due to their rust. So I'm giving them a C+ for how they've looked in the playoffs so far, giving them an average of an A-. I do think there's a big difference between the 49ers and the Lions and the Chiefs, but not a whole lot of difference between 2 and 1 here. So at number 1, I'd have the Baltimore Ravens. Really dominant season, 13-4, best record in the league. probably the best defense in the league, though the 49ers are right there too. Same thing with offense, though I'd say they're not really stacked. Good average running game with Edwards. Pretty good receivers. I don't think any standout receivers, though. I think Lamar Jackson is able to mix it up, find whoever is open. I think he's really the face of their offense. And probably a lot of their running game is neglected because he can do it and he can pass so well. And then obviously you have the last game, which was a throwaway. Lamar didn't play because they already got the number 1 seed. Same thing with the 49ers. I think that's why both the Ravens and the 49ers would probably have an extra win here because they threw away the last game of the season. But yeah, given the Ravens an A+ for how they played in this overall season, beat the 49ers on Christmas. The playoffs, I'd give them just a flat A. A little bit of a slow start against the Texans. It was tied going into halftime. I think this is also due to the week off, a little bit of rust coming in, but really pulled away in the second half, really turned the game into a blowout. That put them at a flat A overall and the number 1 seed. So really interested to see what's going to happen this week. I just think there's a pretty clear difference between both the Ravens and the Chiefs and the 49ers and the Lions. I think that's what we're going to see this week going forward. But let me know how you guys think these teams match up and rank against each other. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you later.